Hello and welcome, family, to another episode of Ask Dr. Mumbi. My name is Dr. Mumbi Saraki. How you doing? How's everything going? I really do pray that you are well at all your ways and that you're moving into living life truly on your own terms. I've been getting a lot of requests from you guys to just go deeper on this whole thing of, how to counter these spiritual attacks, because I know a lot of us feel like we're on the edge of breakthrough. We're on the edge of like the manifestation of a whole new timeline for ourselves, a whole new narrative. We're literally already in the new book, writing out our introduction, and the old book, the demons from the old book are trying to, jump into this new life with us. And so there's still, because a lot of them are attached to us by blood in terms of they're related to us, or they're attached to us by sexual energy, a lot of the enemies of our souls, or we've just bonded so much mentally because they're friends, etc., etc. These are the ones that are attacking us, family. And for me, if you're there's just one or two things I wanted to share. If you're facing spiritual attack and you're doing all the things that I've advised before, return to sender, boomerang that stuff back. There's certain things you can do to further safeguard yourself. And I really believe, family, like I've meditated on this for so long, because as many of you chosen ones have, I've been under heavy spiritual attack for so long. Heavy, and they were attacking my mind, my crown, family, for so long. A wizard even stole one of my dreadlocks, family. I don't know if he drugged me and took it out and cut it, but like to go to his coven to do some stuff. I mean, it's been crazy. And he was able to do some real damage, but that thing has reversed, and I have no idea what condition he's in right now. Stories for other days. Before I go too deep into this, special shout out to our Patreon family. Thank you so much for supporting us on that platform. You are literally, our bosses right now, if I can, boss. But you're literally the reason that we do the show. We're able to do the show. And to all of you that come daily to catch up with the Wake Up Africa news and to catch up with our program, we appreciate, love you so much. Shout out to the wind. We had an agreement, and I've kind of, I'm over the time limit. But anyway, those are stories for other days. And shout out to nature, our ancestors, our ancient ones, and the spiritual team that does this show with me day in and day out. Family, there's certain things that you can be doing. Whenever a spiritual attack is being launched, most of the times your spirit will wake you up, because these guys, they operate in what you've heard as the witching hour. And the reason, that's from midnight to 5 a.m. The reason they operate at that time is because that's when there's the least amount of mental energy, because the majority of people are sleeping, etc., etc. So if you were to look at like the vibrational activity at night, there's less of it. So that's when these people prefer to send their darts. Remember, the darts of the enemy are usually thoughts, curses, intentions, mantras, for your death, for your deactivation, for your obstacles, for your, It's usually that those darts are mental, family. Or they will even conjure up or work with nature by saying certain things that activate certain things in nature, and then they send that to you. So be very, very disciplined with when your spirit wakes you up. Learn to get up, get out of that bed and do something. There's so many things you can do. You can pray to the Most High Creator. You and your spiritual team, your ancestors, your beloved cosmic family, the different, some of us are working with goddess councils, some of us are working with god councils, just your guardian angels, even just your guardian angels, your personal bodyguards. You can call on them. You can also use your tongue to affirm and to reject any energy that is sent of me from the devil or from the devil's agents. I send it back tenfold to those who are sending it. Any witch in their coven, I find you in your coven and I blow that sugar up. Learn to use your tongue. We've been silenced for so long by society, but sadly even by our families, that we don't even know how to use our tongue properly, family. All we've been taught to do with this tongue is to curse ourselves. to limit ourselves, to handicap ourselves. But this same tongue that is used against you to create so many obstacles in your life can also be used to protect and shield you. So that's just the thing. Whether it's to light a candle, whether it's to light an incense stick. And the reason we do this is to connect with the universe, to connect with the realms, the unseen world, the spiritual world, as above, so below. To come into contact with that so that we can, whatever, because you see, they're operating on that, like, humanity is here. These people are doing their magic here. The chosen ones exist here and above. So you just want to go above them so you can squash them mentally. Dimensions. Maybe I'll get into those different dimensions. So I should start teaching some of this stuff. We're heading in that direction, family. The most important thing at first was just to wake people up. So number one, become very disciplined. You can chant, you can put on some music, but you learn to use your own powers so that when these electronics are gone, you know how to whatever. And I really believe that's why we're facing these attacks, family, still. If you're still facing attacks in your life, it's because you still need that training for what is up ahead. Because, you know, unbeknownst to them, the enemies of our souls have prepared us for next. They were training us for next. Because we're going to have these spiritual defenses up and ready 24/7. Because the spiritual war is now manifesting here. So they've been training. They've been like, you know, when you're in army, the boot camp guys. And they've been brutal. Because when they were trying to take us out, they were trying to take us out for real, for real. Little did they know they couldn't, but stories for other days. The next thing I would say, family, is please learn the moon cycles. Because that's kind of some of the secret magic that's being used right now. There's many, like some of the secret magic is the Great Mother. The fact that Rome and a lot of these secret societies actually worship the Black Madonna, the Black mother and child. But another power is that they work with the powers of the moon, with these cycles, with the natural 28-day cycle. And so a lot of attacks are launched at the new moon and at the full moon. So at least, if you're not going to understand the waxing moon, the waning moon, and all this stuff, at least understand the new moon and the full moon. Know those dates and when those nights are coming. Like a night before, a night on the moon, and a night after. Because, you know, they also play with these numbers, family. So sometimes they can tell you anyway. Make sure that on those nights, you're being extra vigilant. You're adding an extra prayer. Or even if you don't do anything in the month, make sure that those 3 nights, at least you're doing something to spiritually amplify yourself. Praying, meditating, and make sure at night, you're putting in place the necessary protection. I use a lot of crystals. I wish I had my obsidians close to me, which is basically like a black stone. But I work very well with crystals. That's mainly what I use. I use candles to stop the attacks. Why do you think these cathedrals and everything are full of candles? I mean, there's different things. There's different methods. But remember, family, this is just an activation of you. We use these physical things to connect us spiritually. It's a ritual to activate our own power. Because everything is dormant in here, but how do we get it out? When we've been trapped and so many gates have been put around us to limit our access to this power. So that's why we do these things, to kind of draw that in. And to draw on our power that is above this world. Stories for other days. So learn the new moon and the full moon. Pray, learn to do some kind of ritual, even if it's to come out and speak to the full, like just say a few chants. And then just learn what happens with those times. Like in the new moon is the time when a lot of new things are created. And a lot of them will manifest by the full moon. And so someone can launch an attack against you on the new moon. And if you've done your prayer and you've already sent back to center, you cancel it while before it gains fruit. And then it's usually supposed to land on the full moon. So on the full moon, you can just reject anything that you may have missed. Any curse, any hex. And if you get into these cycles, because that's the energy and the power that's being used by a lot of these witches and wizards and covens, then at least you'll have some chance. And the third thing I would say, and I guess I'll end the video here. Let me know if you'd want me to go deeper into this or give more things, more levels of defense. The third thing I would say is look into astrology, because these are the powers that they're using. And, they have to expose everything to us, but what they use is much deeper. We are the master astrologers. I don't know if you know, the Queen of Sheba was a master astronomer, master astrologer. We're the ones who came up with all these. We're the ones who mapped the sun. So it's important to kind of understand just the wheel we're in, because they have us on this wheel with these zodiac signs. And so if you could understand and understand at least the basics of what a Capricorn represents, what an Aquarius represents, the energy of those seasons, then that will amplify your power when it comes to knowing, there's a new moon in Capricorn. Or like actually the last full moon was a full moon in Capricorn, for example. And the full moon in Capricorn, Capricorn is like the devil energy, devil vibes, wickedness. Although not Capricorns are wicked, but I mean, that's basically the energy that it comes with. A lot of endings, a lot of conclusions, and a lot of finales. And so you may have felt extremely tired, emotional, lethargic, confused in that season. And if you start to actually map the new moons and the full moons, and you'll notice that on those times, you feel a certain type of way. And so with that full moon, there were so many final battles, family, that happened. And final things that were released, like that we engaged with, those of us who were in the know, that we engaged with on a spiritual level. And immediately after that, I think there was like a Cancer new moon. Cancer is very much about emotions. And so there was almost like an emotional purge. And so if you understand the different characteristics of all these astrological signs, and then understand your own sign, you can get a free chart of your own astrological makeup. You can understand how the matrix kind of defines you, what the matrix tries to say about your personal wheel, and then understand this global wheel that they're using to run this world. Because they're working with deeper astrology, but if you can just understand those basics, because they have to show us everything, so you know that at least there's some truth in that, then you can start not only to defend yourself, but also work more in offense in terms of like propel your life forward during these particular high energy points. So those are the basic 3 ways that I would say that you should protect yourself. Learn to wake up in the witching hour, and to even use that witching hour for your own affirmations, for your own prayers, because there's less static. Less people are awake, so, it's easier there's less traffic. Let's put it like that. There's less spiritual and mental and energetic traffic. So a lot of the things that you're declaring for yourself, it's best to do them between midnight and 5 a.m. They say the best hours are between 3 and 5 a.m. Or let's say, that 2, 3 a.m., 4 a.m. And if the spirit is naturally waking you up at that time, learn to say something that defends yourself. Learn to say a quick prayer, to say a quick affirmation, to do something. It doesn't have to be elaborate. Some nights it will. And some nights it will literally be waking up and saying, may the Most High arise and may all my enemies be scattered. Any spirit of defeat, any spirit of the enemy, of hexes or curses that are in this, either trying to enter my energetic field, I boomerang you back to sender. And then you'll fall back asleep. And usually if you can't fall back asleep, it's because you haven't done enough. And try, family, and this is something I do as well, try not to, when you're awakened at these times, like the 3 a.m.s and the 4 a.m.s, try not to immediately jump to your electronics. Like try and see what's happening on the internet, try and look for something to distract you. But really try and be present in the moment and engage in your spiritual practice at that time. And that's something I've struggled with. Because for so long I didn't, you don't want to wake up at 2 or 3 a.m. So I just, either get on YouTube and find a motivation. It would still be a motivational thing, but it's still someone else telling me something. It's best sometimes to just sit in silence. And once you've done your thing, then you can do that. But try and, in that space, be yourself. So that's number one. Listen to your inner, daily routine. Second, know the cycles of the moon. At least the basics, when the new moon is and when the full moon is. I actually shared a book on moon cycles on Patreon. So if you're a member, it's definitely available on there. You should definitely check it out. It goes into really deep, it goes deep into the different cycles and what rituals you can do. Remember, a ritual is just something that it's like, as a creator, we're doing something to manifest some kind of creation in our lives. So don't think of ritual as any kind of, it's the way we engage the energy. That's how we create at this level. And lastly, learn at least some level of astrology. Some level, somehow. So that you can understand even just the general seasons that we're in. Because when I'm recording this, we're about to go into we're in Leo season, the season of the lion, the season of the sun, the season to come out and shine and be seen. And so if you had any kind of public product or anything, this would be the season to kind of release that. And then you could look into when is it the most potent. There is also the Lion's Gate. So these are the kind of, and they use these energies, because usually there's a boost in energy. They use these energies to quantum leap their ideas, to quantum leap their vibes, their prosperity, et cetera, et cetera. And you can do the same in your own life. This is what my book, Your Own Universe, was all about. And I definitely think, family, I'm going to revisit that story. I'm going to I'm going to kind of edit the book that I wrote to kind of match the realities of this so that you can have this knowledge and you can teach your children this knowledge. Until next time, thanks to every single person that supports us on Patreon. Of course, you enable us to do this. Tuko pamoja. Looking for a conscious community, or for people, who are on their awakening journey, on their transition to an off-grid living in your country, well, we have the solution, family. We're calling it Unity Communities. We get so many emails every week from people who ask if I know of people in their region or people in their city or people in their town who are on a similar kind of journey, who have broken away or are breaking away from the religious psychosis, and they're looking for just people who think the same way in their town, in their city. But more importantly, to give us a community where we feel understood, understood, overstood, where we can bond with people of like mind. And if you feel called to be part of this, definitely email me at drmumbi at drmumbishow.com. Please put your country in the subject line with Unity Communities. Get in touch with me, drmumbi at drmumbishow.com. Unity Communities.